going to do a video on the moon in Pisces with the sun in Gemini. Keep in mind, in between the last video that I just did and now, we just had that last quarter square of the moon, so we're getting ready to prepare for the new moon and things like that. So keep that in mind. Getting my lighting right like last time, you feel me? Chill. Get a little music playing. Shout out Shadow on the beat, featuring Shadow on this song. A song called EYE or I. On the newest album, you feel me? Recreation in progress. Life is in a cycle, never am I going psycho. Flows in cypho, damn am I going psycho. Life is in a psycho, damn am I going psycho. Yeah, you with the rhyme, love with enough begun. Fake the resist, here run. EYE, show they inferior. The mirror gets clearer. This of these prisms, my body, but I free my mind. In prison, imagination is written on all of our faces. Loneliness of my soul, although I feel like holy shit. Ancestors, conspiracy, what I wrote info. Brain food like soul lyrics. Silver line of humankind. I'm the silver line of humankind. Downward spiraling. We downward spiraling. Indigo save lives. Indigo change lives. Indigo change lives. Life is in a psycho. Damn, I go with psycho. Psycho, whoa. Life is in a psycho. Damn, I go with psycho. Where your mind can find that? See the signs, design. Up all night like a insomniac. World dominate. Used to be an angel. Can you help me find my halo? Up all night like a insomniac. Used to be an angel, can you help me find my halo? Up all night like insomniac, world dominate. Used to be an angel, help me find my halo. See, we program. They just channeling. It's dark and dim. Depressing. They make fake shit in the session. We ask questions, don't just blindly follow. They Google all they info. See me disguised in like a UFO. Overseeing officer, try to pat me down, but I know my rights. I might be dead tonight, but it's zombie gang even in the afterlife. I'm a zombie, this a dream. Let's get back to life. Life is in a psycho. Damn, I go in psycho. Mind is in a psycho. Life is in a psycho. Then we go in psycho. It's an artifact. Keep your mind intact. Keep your mind, they defect that. Diamonds on our back. Separation of we, I never catch cold feet when I hold heat. I am infinite, fuck you and your dollar fool. Your dollar fool. Hey yo, I got that wrong, my apologies. This was produced by Shadow. You know what I'm saying? By the Metaphor 77, you feel me? Yeah, about to get into it. You know what I'm saying? Wait, everybody getting up in here. You know what I'm saying? We're going to break down the alignments, break down all the rising signs, and how this moon in Pisces is going to affect y'all. You're just now jumping into it on the Western Hemisphere and things like that. If you're on the Eastern time zone of the Western Hemisphere, you know what I'm saying? We got the moon in Pisces right now, you know what I'm saying? It's about to finish up cusp-wise in Aquarius. Then we got, if I'm not mistaken, we got 1 degree. But yeah, sure. Let me just let this little other joint rock in the background, you feel me? Because the beat just go perfect with it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so moving forward, we got the moon conjuncting Saturn and Neptune, you know what I'm saying? So keep in mind, with the conjunction, you have that energy being put out in the same area of life or the same aspect or nature. So based on it all being in Pisces, it's in the dream, illusion, and nightmare realm, and also endings and things of that nature. So keep in mind, Pisces tends to be that delusional energy, that dreaming energy, right? So if you want to have this delusional optimism to the point where it's like, okay, I know my dream is far out, but I'm going to achieve that dream and things like that. And that's kind of what you want to keep on your mind based on the Pisces energy, and like see that dream being far out, but it's also like, oh, that is achievable just based on me being able to imagine it. So yeah, so Saturn being restriction and building and things of that nature. So you want to be able to build on your dream. And at this point in time, that's what the Pisces energy got going on, and based on Neptune as well. Neptune is in the Pisces energy, like I say as well, but Neptune is more dream, illusion, and nightmare, and it's also like that dreamy energy to the point where things can be illusionary, like you can't tell dreams from reality type thing. So at this point in time, you may be able to realize your dream essentially if you've restricted it enough and you've built up to it and things of that nature. And keep in mind, with the moon in Pisces, it's essentially a time to get a lot of sleep and recharge and things like that. So it's a time that you're going to be sensitive to the nature, sensitive to the energies and like kind of empathic energy. And that's kind of like that Pisces energy. Not kind of, that is Pisces energy, empath. And moving forward, the moon is going to sextile Uranus and Mercury, based on them both being in Taurus. Uranus being that lightning light change, and Mercury being the ways of communicating and thinking. So, being in that fixed energy of Taurus, being consistent and stubborn on the way of logistical and practical things, based on Mercury being thinking about the logistical and practicality, and also that lightning light change or unexpected rebellion and things of that nature. So essentially, for Uranus to be enacted, it has to rebel and oppose against something. So you have to be consistent and stubborn, rebelling and opposing against something. But you're going to see that opportunity based on your dream to rebel and oppose against whatever's necessary and have that lightning light change occur. And then moving forward, the moon is also going to square all the Gemini energy. So we have the sun being in Gemini, we got Venus in Gemini, we also have Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter. But yeah, Jupiter is knowledge, wisdom, and experience and expansion. And based on it being in Gemini, communicating and also figuring things out. So essentially, Mercury is that energy that kind of moves quickly and moves back and forth to the point where it's like, okay, I see both sides of things, so to speak. So essentially, that expansion of continuing to figure out the puzzle, so to speak. And then Venus being values or appreciation of a person, place, thing, or idea. So essentially, you're going to value communication styles. You're going to value the way that people make you think or make you feel about thinking and things like that. So essentially, if you value a place that allows this communication style, this would be a good time for you to essentially be in that space. Or if you value that person's communication style and the way that they get you in the right state of mind, I'm saying this is that kind of energy. And also the sun being in Gemini, the spotlight's on that energy. So being able to communicate is what is being on the spotlight at this point in time. Being able to see both sides of things. And based on the moon being in Pisces, essentially, we're going to be more empathic. We're going to essentially read the room instead of actually go to figure it out and communicate with the room and things of that nature. So essentially, we want to be more that Gemini energy. And also keep in mind, the moon is in conjunct in the south node based on, I think the north node is in Aries. So the south node is in Libra. So the moon is going to be in conjunct in the Libra energy. So we're going to misunderstand the way things that makes us feel comfortable in our ways of essentially being, what you call that, kind of complacent, because the north node is your uncomfortability and your purpose, and the south node is more of your comfortability. And last but not least, we have the moon opposing Lilith, so we can either add on to our darkest moment or oppose it. So essentially, we are able to, you know what I'm saying, just go with things and be okay with being embarrassed, or be on the other side of things and always try to be adding on to the energy of, okay, yeah, that is an embarrassing thing, and let's just, you know what I'm saying, let's just kind of get that behind us and things like that. So it's either you're accepting the way you feel or you're opposing it to essentially not be embarrassed. And being embarrassed isn't a bad thing, because embarrassment is just a state of mind. Essentially, like, if people think things are awkward, they're the ones making it awkward, essentially. It's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the one here not trying to have the conversation. If you're the one just looking at me all in a different kind of way, that would be what you would call that awkward state. But essentially, that's you creating that, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, awkward is like a whole created thing, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. But keep in mind, this is all about learning to communicate about the ideals of a dream. So essentially, Pisces being that dream, illusion, nightmare, and us being in that sleeping energy, like, okay, we're taking that time to rest and things like that. We're going to learn to communicate about what we've been dreaming about in that rest state and things like that. So, yeah, moving forward, Pisces in the first house, It's going to be all about the personality or the individuality or the personal affairs in your dream or that illusionary things and things like that. So essentially, if you've been in this illusionary realm, now you're going to see how things essentially uh, relate to you personally or in your personal affair, essentially, and how that dream is essentially, or that illusion, or that nightmare is actually playing out in your real life, in your first house. Then moving forward, Aquarius and having Aquarius rising, having Pisces in the second house. It's all about the values of a dream, or if a person is the dream and things like that, or the place of the dream and things of that nature. Just keep in mind, so you can be valuing whatever plays that dream out for you and allows you to utilize that. So essentially, keep in mind the second house is values. I'm saying, and then the eighth house, that's shared values. So essentially, whatever you utilize to procure your funds or procure your materialistic resources is essentially where you're working with the Pisces in the second house. You're gonna be like dreaming, okay, what can I actually shed to then bring in more accumulation whenever we have this play out in the new moon in Gemini and things like that. So essentially, am I valuing the wrong things or am I valuing the right things at this point in time? Is what should be on the Aquarius's mind, Aquarius rising. I got my little crystals on my table, so it's kind of funny whenever I bump my table, it make all the noise and things like that. So if you're hearing that in the background, that's what that is. But yeah, keep moving forward. You have the Capricorn rising, which is having the Pisces in the third house. Pisces in third house for Capricorn is the sextile. So seeing the opportunity in the environment to communicate and your immediate area and things like that. So essentially, Capricorn has this way of being business minded, and essentially they can have the business mind to then in turn in their environment see who can actually help them procure the dream and things of that nature. So essentially, they're seeing the opportunity who to communicate with about the dream. Or, okay, this is practical for the Capricorn in my personal life. You're in my environment. Let's make this happen, kind of thing. Or it could be just like, okay, Capricorn seeing that, oh, this is my environment. How could I actually go ahead and benefit from this environment? And they're now seeing the opportunity with this sextile. And then moving forward, the Sagittarius rising is having the fourth house in Pisces, so it's a square to the Sagittarius, so they're learning. Oh, word up. Shout out to your friend birthday. Shout out Gemini season and things like that. All my Geminis. Well, I'm a Gemini moon, so I got like a kind of a soft spot for y'all Geminis, even though y'all two-faced. I'm saying things like that. I still got Sagittarius, so just keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really got no bias for any sign and things like that. The only bias I kind of have is for Aries and things like that, because I just respect Aries in general, just based on being a Leo. So like Leo got this way about going about things that I'm saying they just kind of like, hey, I salute the Aries because Leo know what the Aries is doing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, back to the Gemini. Shout out to y'all, two-sided people that can actually see both sides of everything and end up having this third-person perspective and be able to speak the innate truth. So that's the one thing that Gemini is real good for. You know what I'm saying? Keep the community up. But yeah, getting back to the opposition of Gemini, the Sagittarius rising, like I say, having the fourth house in Pisces is a square. So essentially, the Sagittarius has to learn to be more empathic in their private natures or in their home or things that are close to their heart. So essentially, the Sagittarius has to bring more care or more comfort to the dream and kind of like water the dream essentially and watch it grow and things of that nature. So essentially, learning how to read the emotion and things like that, and be more emotional for your dream. So essentially, it's like kind of like a character plot being played out. You know what I'm saying? Like their character development. There we go. Yeah, kind of character development going on for the Sagittarius at this point in time, with the Pisces in the fourth house. And then Scorpio having the Pisces in the fifth house is going to be this trine. So it's going to be creating an opportunity to express oneself or be in the childlike nature for the Scorpio. So essentially, the dream, illusion, and nightmare that the Scorpio is bringing to the forefront is they're then expressing and they're feeling that emotion about the expression that they've brought to the forefront, essentially. And for the Scorpio, if you're in the higher octave, then you feel comfortable expressing things like that. And if you feel uncomfortable expressing things of that nature, so then you're in the lower octave, you're in more of a nightmare state. So it's essentially all about your comfortability in the area of life that the moon is playing it out. You know what I'm saying? So based on the moon being in Pisces, it being in your fifth house, it's all about your expression. Then moving forward, The Libra rising is having the 6th house in Pisces. So the 6th house is all about the routine, pattern, and the health. And based on Libra and Pisces in the 6th house, is in conjunction, so misunderstanding. So essentially, the Libra is misunderstanding how to be more empathic and feel feel into the routine. So essentially, it's not all about just communicating and be more relative. It's about actually what is best for one's own health, what is best for one's own regimen. Essentially, what is one's own circadian rhythm, so to speak. And the Libra may misunderstand how to feel into things, and they may want to be more logistical and practical. So essentially, kind of tap more into your emotion at this point in time, Libra. And then moving forward, the Virgo rising is having the 7th house in Pisces, so it's the opposition. So you can either add on or oppose to the Pisces energy. So you can add on to the dream, or add on to people's illusions, or actually bring the facts to things and say, okay, the way that you're relating to things is delusional and things of that nature, and the way I personally see things is very opposite. So essentially, you can either add on or you can oppose your relationships at this point in time. Then moving forward, the Leo rising, essentially for the Virgo, if you're on the higher octave, you feel comfortable relating. If you're on the lower octave, you feel uncomfortable relating, so to speak. And then the Leo rising is having the 8th house in Pisces, so it's a misunderstanding or an conjunction. So with the Leo having the 8th house in Pisces, it's all about the transformation behind the scenes and the secrets and the rebirth energy. So essentially the Leo is so stubborn to the point that they don't actually want to feel into things and actually have this faith about the dream and things like that, to the point that it'll play out. They kind of get overwhelmed. So that's kind of where this 8th house transformation goes about, and they kind of utilize this 8th house energy to their internal passion, and they get kind of utilized in this overwhelmed energy to the point where it ends up things being transformed in the negative realm and things like that. So Leo kind of sting themselves whenever the Pisces come around. So essentially, what the Leo got to do for this energy, if you're in the higher octave, I'm saying, keep in mind that you're transforming things and you feel comfortable transforming your circumstance, and you know that these are things that you shouldn't be stubborn upon, and this is just a materialistic realm, and you go into these people, places, and things innately, you're always going to be working at something, so don't be attached to things, essentially. And that's for the higher octave for the Leo and having the Pisces in the 8th house. But if you're in the lower octave, you feel uncomfortable transforming things and things like that, and you transforming things for the dream. So essentially, you have this stubborn nature about going about things. You don't actually want to transform oneself to adapt to things and things like that. So don't be scared to transform, because no matter what, your dreams are going to be transforming. And it's okay that you're saying you have this like the final dream, and you're on the journey to get towards that, but there's smaller journeys and side quests in between that and things like that are necessary to get to your actual final destination. All right. And then moving forward, the Cancer rising is having the Pisces in the 9th house. So it's all about the knowledge, wisdom, and experience, and also the morality. And essentially travel within the mind as well, or externally. So the Cancer is creating the opportunity to travel based on their morality, and they're feeling, oh, okay, I have this Pisces energy, and I'm ready to go about creating the opportunity for my dream, and boom, you know what I'm saying? You have this wisdom that this is the right time to go about it. Or if you're on the higher octave, if you're on the lower octave, then you're kind of more like, okay, is this actually the correct moral system? And do I have faith in these things to actually procure my dream? So if you already are on the path of having your dream being played out, and you're actually gearing up for it, then I would say to get to the higher octave whenever this for the new moon. So essentially, this full moon is just clearing things out for the new moon in Gemini. So with this in the full moon in Sagittarius and the full moon cycle is clearing things out for the new moon in Gemini. So keep in mind that Cancer has to have this creation of this opportunity to see, oh, is this moral system actually something I should have faith in, or is this something that I shouldn't believe in, and things like that. So it says creating the opportunity emotionally and things like that. So if you're feeling more comfortable with your morality, you're on the higher octave. If you're feeling uncomfortable with your morality, you're on the lower octave, essentially. That's another way to put it. Then moving forward, the Gemini is having the 10th house in Pisces. So the 10th house in Pisces is a square for the Gemini. So they're learning how to communicate and learning how to communicate about their status and feel comfortable with their status, essentially. Or feeling comfortable with the blueprint. So they're learning to communicate about the blueprint in a comfortable nature and not being so scatterbrained and things like that. They're actually cool, calm, and collected and able to be focused. So keep in mind, this is all having Saturn conjuncted. So like this is like a double up for the Gemini having the 10th house in Saturn and things like that. So keep that in mind. And the 10th house, pardon me, I just did the 10th house for Gemini. And the Taurus rising is having the 11th house in Pisces, so it's the sextile. So they're seeing the opportunity in their personal life to associate with the dream and things like that. It's in their, or be in the public spaces, or be in the technology realm and things like that. So essentially, be on the internet and bring their dream to the forefront, essentially. Or and they're having this illusion about this association that they're in, and they are so stubborn to the point that they actually don't want to associate themselves with things that in turn is like the negative sextile and things like that. So they're seeing the opportunity that, oh, okay, I'm already associated with this dream, so I don't actually have to be present and things like that. But just keep in mind, you actually have to be present. And even though, I'm saying, sometimes you just want to sit back and relax based on the Pisces energy, you actually do have to go out and still work for things and things like that. But just keep in mind, if you're on the higher octave, you feel comfortable associating. If you're uncomfortable with associating, you're on the lower octave. Or being in the public spaces, or bringing your public persona to the forefront. And keep in mind that you might actually have to shed something based on this full moon cycle in your association. That might be part of it and things like that, based on, I'm saying, how things are going to be played out, based on that Gemini going to be moving to your, I think it's your second house. Yeah, you're going to have the new moon in your second house, so it's going to be about your values. Like now, then do you in turn value that association that you were working with whenever we had this moon in Pisces, essentially. And when we were finished up this Aquarius moon, keep in mind that we had this last quarter square, the third quarter square, from the Taurus new moon cycle and things like that. And now in turn, we're in the Gemini season, so it's like kind of that transition period between the last square. So it's our final point to learn things and our final point to have this shedding point, essentially. So keep that in mind. And then last but not least, we have the Aries rising, having the 12th house in Pisces. So it's all about the dreams, illusions, and nightmares, and also about endings, essentially. So for the Aries, there might be an ending to something at this point in time, and they have something that they need to shed about their dream to in turn adapt to, essentially, to procure their newest dream. So if like the dream actually isn't something that you've seen in your dream realm, and I know that kind of doesn't really make sense, but I'm saying that you had this illusion or this perception about how things were going to play out, and they actually ended up being an illusion, and they weren't reality, then in turn in this 12th house you have to shed this aspect of that dream, so to speak, if that makes sense. But for the Aries rising, essentially at this point in time, you're right beside the Pisces energy, so it's kind of like that. What you call that? It's like a conflict because they're right beside each other. There's a certain way to say it, but if that makes sense. Based on them being right beside each other, they kind of rub each other the wrong way. So essentially, the Aries could get lost in this illusion and actually have this faith in this illusion. So essentially, just keep in mind that having too much faith in the wrong space might not be the best thing for the Aries at this point in time. So essentially, another way to put it is, if you feel comfortable with your faith, then you're on the higher octave. If you feel uncomfortable with your faith and your illusion or delusion or a dream, then you're on the higher octave. If you feel comfortable, if you feel uncomfortable with that, you're on the lower octave, to put it simply. Then you can go deep with that after that. But yeah, shout out to, like I say in the chat, your friend B birthday, Gemini season and things like that. I just wish the Gemini happy birthday today. You know what I'm saying? So kind of synchronicity type joint. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, thank y'all for rocking out with me. I'm going to play a little bit of this song real quick. Y'all haven't heard it yet, I don't think. Ain't blinking. In between the lime and grime should be green jacket, but I see blood cousin. It's fine. I give her my other line. Word to mother, I'm Hotep on the pull up, bar still flexing. Peace. If y'all believe in all that, Stay safe or stay dangerous, whatever is necessary. Enjoy y'all Gemini season, things like that. Don't be on the wrong side of energy. I'm saying be able to see both sides of the energy to then in turn have that third person perspective and be like, oh, that's the innate truth. Yeah, stay safe or stay dangerous. Email me. I'm saying email me in the email is in the description. You could email me if you have any questions about the live or any questions about astrology in general. If you're looking to get a reading and things like that, go ahead and tap in and I'll send you a menu and things like that. So yeah, salute, holla back.